It is No Mow March. This is the second year that we have fully embraced not mowing our lawn in the month of March. We do this for the pollinators. It's good for them. We have all of these wildflowers called the spiderwort flower, and when they bloom, it actually looks like grass at first, and then they turn into these amazingly beautiful purple blue like flowers that are absolutely stunning during the sunrise. The pollinators are always all over them. It's like bee central. I have a lot to show you guys since we last talked, a lot of really exciting stuff. My name is Shelby. If you are new here, welcome, and let's get started. This is one of my favorite things to do, is just to sit in the garden for a second, enjoy a little bit of peace and coffee before I get started with my garden projects for the day. It's just crazy sitting out here, honestly, to see so much that has happened over the last week. I am so thankful that I got out here and planted all those sunflower and flower seeds, because everything it's just doing its thing. It's doing like what it's supposed to do, which is extremely exciting. You guys are about to get really tired of seeing me scoop mulch into a wheelbarrow, but it's just a part of what needs to happen to get the garden where it needs to be. Mulching is essential to our homesteading practices, and it's something that we rely really heavily on for organic weed control. I wanted to pop in to say I've got so much exciting stuff coming up here in the near future. Be sure to subscribe if you don't want to miss out on a video. So in just the week since I planted out my tomato starts, they're so much bigger, like even just visually for the camera, as you can see. They are on a healthy path. Really satisfied with the progress that they're making so far. I want to say it looks like they've doubled in size. Maybe not, but that's what it feels like. What I'm going to do now is get some mulching going. The sun is rising. I wish I could just bottle it up. I love hearing from you guys, so I definitely want to hear what is growing on in your garden or your particular zone. I'm in zone 9. It's fairly warm here right now, so definitely drop a comment. Now I'm just going to start out by doing a really heavy layer of mulch around the base of these tomato plants, and then later I'm going to do all of the dirt around like these mounds. The reason I'm not going to do all of the mound yet is because I'm going to actually do some more direct sowing on the edges of the tomato plants. That way we can really maximize these rows and not just use it for one single crop. I'm done with the mulching now. That was really easy. I just went around and you know, put a little bit of love around the base of all of these tomato plants. Oh, and in case you're wondering, there are 37, I believe if I counted right, tomato plants planted out in this particular garden. Now, the reason why we're only planting them here, of course, to be more organized and keep it cleaner, give them more space, and kind of, you know, a little bit go by the rules a little bit more, although I'm not very good at following the rules as a gardener. Last year we had around 50 tomato plants all through the entire garden. They were literally everywhere. Just a random tomato plant was plugged in wherever I could find a spot. My hunch is that these 37 tomato plants are going to be more fruitful and produce more than those 50 tomato plants, because they didn't have enough spacing. They were super crowded, and a lot of the tomatoes went to waste because we just couldn't get to them really, and it was so unorganized. So my hunch is that this is going to be a lot more efficient, and we're going to get a bigger yield out of our tomato garden because of it being in a really specific area with less plants. If you're watching my last video, you will know that I was worried that the birds were going to enjoy my sunflower seeds as a snack before they could turn into plants. So I am happy to report that we have a ton of sunflower sprouts. I tried to be a little sneaky, hold the seeds in my hand so that the birds couldn't see. And I also came out a day later and I planted another round of sunflowers. So maybe they could have thought, oh, we've picked all of these for the day and that's it. So I kind of layered the amount of sunflowers that I was planting daily, and we've got tons and tons and tons of sunflowers growing right now, which is just so exciting. And the poppies are going really well. Now I'm going to get to planting some more flowers. So I will paint the picture of what my typical morning looks like before 6 a.m. I usually am up around 5:30 in the morning, and I try to get the house kind of, you know, a little bit in order, get the coffee going, things like that before the kids wake up around 6. So I typically will put on like one single gardening YouTube video every morning. It's like a ritual when I have like 3 sips of coffee before I gotta get my kids. And this morning I put on a video of this lady. She's like a flower gardener. I'll try to find the video and link it below because it was actually a really good video. I don't know her channel name or anything like that, but anyways, she went around and she showed all of the flowers that she is growing from like the actual seed packets, and it gave me inspiration to put more flower seeds in now and not wait. That is why I'm coming out here with some more seeds. I'm gonna plant some cosmos. They get to be around 3 to 4 feet tall. They do flower through the whole of summer until your first frost. Zinnias, if you are a new gardener, zinnias are an absolute must. They are the easiest plants to grow and they reseed themselves really easily. So chances are if you grow zinnias once, you will definitely have zinnias regrowing back next year without any garden intervention. I actually got this pack from Amazon. It comes with a really good variety. I will include it down below because it's a pretty good starter pack. I don't remember how much it was, but it was a good pack. I will put some of these purple coneflowers in there. Let's just do the bachelors and the calendula, if I'm saying any of this right. There are others in this particular seed pack that came with it. Marigolds, I like the French marigolds that I have, which is, I have like a large pack of French marigolds, I think, in the house, so I'm not gonna plant these ones. The nasturtium, if I'm saying that right, I see tons of people planting these, especially like, I wanna say in their green stalks, and it looks really fantastic, but I don't wanna just plant these on the ground like that. I have my cosmos here. And the cosmos seeds are super small. Basically, the way that I plant all of my flower seeds is I just sprinkle them over the top and I just do a teensy amount of soil on top of that. I'm just gonna plant a few on the inside here. It's not one of my gardens if there aren't zinnias in it. I'm gonna do some zinnias in here too, which are just, they're a garden must. You've gotta grow zinnias. Now these are super small flat seeds as well. I'm just gonna plant a few on here. You should really have no problem growing a few zinnias. I already have 2 sunflowers in here. That was a self-seed. The sunflowers had seeded themselves somewhere else in the garden. I dug them up very gently and I put them in here after I had refilled the beds because the soil, it went down a lot and I had to top off the beds. The sunflowers were very unhappy for a few days, and lucky for me, there was a really heavy rain that helped, you know, with that transplant, because sunflowers do not do well with transplant, especially at this size. So that bed is the cosmos and the zinnias with the poppies and the sunflowers. This bed I'm going to do the purple coneflowers and the calendulas. I'm glad that I film this because I'm not putting any, you know, name tags or anything like that down. And it's a good thing to go back and be like, what the heck did I plant there? Especially with flowers, I'm still kind of like learning you know, just by identifying and things like that over time. I want to walk over and show you the poppy garden progress that has been going on, because they're doing so well. And also we have more sunflower sprouts at the back. This is like the main poppy flower garden. The sprouts, or I guess the starts, I started these in, I want to say January, and they're all a couple inches tall now. Sprout updates. We have our zucchini, the Italian striped zucchini has sprouted. The muncher cucumbers have sprouted, as well as the dill and the Swiss chard. I'm gonna get some harvesting done while I'm out here, because there's a few things that need to be harvested, and that is just all a part of the spring garden prep, honestly. This is the red acre cabbage. It's perfect, ready to go. I am gonna cook it up tonight for dinner. I'm gonna make corned beef and cabbage. I would be harvesting the Savoy one, which is like a green variety, or one of my other green varieties. However, it's not quite ready yet, although it looks so beautiful and fantastic. I'm resisting the urge to harvest it. We're just gonna go with the purple cabbage for dinner, and I'm sure it'll be just fine. I also need to harvest some cauliflower because it's literally on the brink of trying to shoot up and go to seed if I don't harvest it today. This purple of Sicily cauliflower is definitely good to go. I'm just gonna put the leaves on the soil and allow those to decompose here. The purple of Sicily did grow really good this year. This is the most purple of Sicily I've ever had. This is a really big head too. It's probably my biggest purple of Sicily head. So I just like to grind up the cauliflower and vacuum seal them in, and then put them in the freezer. That's how I like to preserve them if I'm not going to eat them, you know, within the next few days. And we'll have little freezer pack bags of cauliflower. So I've got 2 heads of cauliflower that are definitely ready to harvest. These 3 right here are not ready yet. In the next like week or so, those will also be ready to harvest because I'm seeing the actual cauliflower heads, and this bed will be largely empty, which is really good news for me. I've got some, I want to say, because these are volunteers, these are tomato, pineapple tomatoes, because the pineapple tomatoes grew right here last year. I need to move those. I don't know where I'm going to move them yet, but I don't want them in this particular bed because I'm trying not to grow my tomatoes in the big beds. If you're new here, then I'll just kind of fill you in. I do the no dig, no till garden method, and I will chop and drop the actual cauliflower plants. I don't rip them out of the ground, and I use the leaves as mulching. That of course is turning into compost and things like that over time. Harvesting the heads, you just kind of push on the outside of them. The ones that I have already harvested like 2-3 weeks ago, those leaves are already almost like all the way broken down. This one, although it is smaller, is ready because it's starting to shoot up in certain parts, and then it's not going to get much bigger. The plant itself isn't that big, so it doesn't have the capacity to get that much bigger. I'm going to stop harvesting for a second because my husband and my son are coming outside to help move these cattle panel trellises, just like literally 6 feet over. Well, I don't know how much help my son's gonna be, but my husband is definitely going to be a lot of help in that endeavor. After moving the cattle panel wall from this particular bed, I felt a lot better about it. I thought it looked better. It was a fresh change for the garden, so I'm really happy with the move. So the reason we're moving these right now is just because I'm gonna actually make this particular bed a pepper bed, and I don't want to buy more cattle panel trellises than I need because they're not cheap, and now we'll only need to buy 2 more cattle panel trellises. I don't plan on having big trellis things in this particular garden, so it's just an easy move. You're going to find out here in just a minute that we actually don't end up using these cattle panel walls for the tomato garden. So instead, I want to put the two of these cattle panel trellises together and create like a long tunnel for pumpkins or something like that. I'm in the process of brainstorming where to put the cattle panel tunnel so that we can sit under it, enjoy some shade, and enjoy the veggies growing on top. I should have realized this ahead of time, but those rows that the actual tomatoes are in are about 14 or 16 feet long. The cattle panel trellises, or the walls, are like 10 feet long, so there's definitely going to be a big gap of tomato plants that are not being properly trellised. So we're not going to trellis them with that particular method. Instead, I have a different method I'm going to use with the T-post, but I'm just not doing that today because we just don't have the materials or the time to go get the materials because I was not prepared for that. So I don't always show what I do with my harvest after it has been harvested, which I swear I plan on getting a lot better about doing that. What I'm doing today is I'm just vacuum sealing my cauliflower. I riced a whole bunch of cauliflower already where I just ground it up in the blender. So this particular harvest, I'm just going to just cut into florets for portions big enough for a dinner. So the one that I just vacuum sealed, this is actually literally half of that head of cauliflower vacuum sealed into one small appearing little bag. So the vacuum sealer really helps with that. So I would definitely recommend that if you have a big harvest and you don't want to go through like extensive preservation methods such as like canning or anything like that, and just like a quick, I just gotta quickly preserve this and throw it in the freezer type of thing. Also, I am cooking up the cabbage for dinner. So I'm just making corned beef and cabbage. It's just like one of those corned beef packs. And we just threw in a bunch of miniature potatoes and a head, like a whole onion. And then here's the cabbage. So really excited to taste that tonight. I didn't film it mostly because my husband was the one who threw all of this together. So, but I just wanted to show that we do use up our homegrown harvest. I just don't always do the best job at illustrating it because we got all the, 2 kids and it's a bunch of craziness over here. Personally, I am not familiar with any other way to preserve cauliflower. I don't know if you can it or not. Some of this stuff is pretty new to me. So that's why I'm vacuum sealing it. If anybody has any suggestions on other ways to preserve cauliflower, definitely drop a comment. If I had a compost bin, I would be dumping this in my compost bin, but I don't, which I will. That is a huge goal of mine, is to start like a big compost system for the next year's garden. Anyways, it's not going to go to waste though. I will be putting this just directly in the beds to decompose and biodegrade, but I just wanted to show you that this isn't going to waste. And you might be wondering, oh, what do I do with all that, kind of like the bulk part. You can eat all of that. You can eat all the leaves. You can eat all the leaves. You can eat all of this. I'm just not doing it for today, but I'm just going to put it back in the garden. And any type of typically kind of smaller leaves and things like that, I will just give to the chickens. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today as I got some garden work done and some preservation. There is so much coming up here going into this busy season. Definitely be sure to give this video a like if you enjoyed it and hit subscribe if you don't want to miss out on any upcoming videos. Bye.